morning. Welcome to Smart Impressions. I'm Rachel, your host, and we are unlocking business relationships one connection at a time. So I'm Rachel, as I mentioned, and you know what? I absolutely love food. So if you love food, then you are going to love today's show, because have you ever gone for a dining experience that just stays in your memory with what seems like such a long time? It like stamps this moment in time. You remember the scents, the smell, the taste, who you're with, the ambiance, the music. Well, if those things really excite you like they do for me, you're going to love our guest today. We got Chef Joe from Joe's Kitchen on Instagram. Thanks for coming to the show, Joe. Nice to have you here.
Of course. My pleasure. Thanks, Rachel.
Well, just want to let everyone know we got Kitchen with the Chen, the German style, the German way, right?
Absolutely. Also, original one was taken, so STH it is.
Awesome. Well, it works. At least everyone can find you. So I'm so happy you're here today because, you know, when it comes to human connections, I don't think there's a stronger sense than one of the sense of taste. And you are playing in that space right now. How'd you get into it?
You know, I think let's start off real fresh. I like to eat. So this is really how everything began. I have an appetite. I love food, and I've been a kid who always liked to explore food. I wouldn't say no to anything. I taste pretty much anything as long as it's an insect or crawling around. So it really started off from there, you know, having grown up in a household where my mom was a really good host and home cook. And later down the line, I moved to Dubai, and I kind of missed that whole food culture that we used to have back at home. And kind of started making my own recipes based on first asking my mom how she did things, and then do it the same way, and then try to spice things up a little bit. And also, you know, it's really nice also enjoying food with other people. So I started, you know, having friends over and family, and pairing it with wine, which also goes absolutely perfect. So at the end of the day, it's just, you know, people getting together, having great conversation over delicious food.
Well, I do think that probably over COVID was this time period where people kind of shifted from the restaurant experience to the home kind of special catered, you know, really exclusive kind of dining experience. Is that the time that you guys started working on your kitchen and your dining experience?
Of course, I have a COVID story. I mean, it would be crazy if I didn't. So yes, of course, later down the line during COVID, we were hanging out with the same group constantly, and everybody was responsible for something. One of us was a PT and training everyone. The other one was making cocktails, and I obviously had to supply with the food. And you get to a point where you're like, okay, you know what? I think we're going to do this all together now. And I was always in the space of like making pasta, creating pasta dishes. So it started off with a really fun workshop of us just being home making pasta. And I just posted things online. And it took me some way to where I am today, where people were just like, can I also book a class? And I was like, oh, okay. I was just kind of doing this with my friends, but that sounds like a great idea. Why not? And I was already in that headspace of like, what do I want to do in life? I kind of don't want to do this corporate job on a daily basis. You know, I feel I can give a little bit more. But I think because it's a craft, you know, when you're young, you don't really go like, oh, I think I could be a chef. I mean, it's rare, especially in the world we grew up in. Our parents want us to be something else, right? Like become a lawyer or a doctor, or so that really just kind of shifted as I was an adult, and predominantly throughout COVID. So we did the pasta classes, and then that kind of kicked off. It was also towards the end of COVID, so things were becoming a lot more loose. And then people were like, how can we perhaps only eat and not make pasta? It's like, that is another great business model. Thank you very much, Karen. We're going to do that. So then I came up with a pasta dining experience, which is a 6-course menu with 4 of the dishes being predominantly pasta. And I always have to remind people, I'm not your Italian pasta chef. You want to have Italian food, there's plenty of great places in Dubai that you can go and have Italian food. So I kind of use pasta as a vehicle and like incorporate it with my own sauces, with my own ideas, inspired from being German, being Lebanese, and pretty much everywhere I've traveled to. Because pasta, noodles, that is something, think of any country, there is some sort of pasta version there. And it is comforting, and it is delicious, and it makes everyone happy.
Everyone likes pasta, gluten-free or not, everyone likes pasta, right? So I'm
Yeah.
sure everyone has that pasta story, and that's a great segue to the next. My conversation today is all about like the people that come and dine with your food experience. They're not just getting a new recipe or your flavors. They're actually walking away with an experience. So could we talk a little bit more about that experience and the thoughts of the ambiance and the space that you've had to consider to really enhance the food, consumption experience?
Of course, I mean, all of the senses sort of need to come together. Like, let's just think of ourselves when we go out for a night out on a date or something, no, you and your husband, whatever. Are you going for a quick bite to eat, or are you going to kind of like have something to eat? And ambience is important. What kind of music is playing in the background? And are you sitting inside or outside, and views? So, of course, all of these things are very, very important. And it is absolutely perfect to incorporate that with food. So during the supper club, I try to bring, of course, like dim lights, have a lot of candles. There's a lot of thought goes into creating my playlist for both the workshop and the dining experience. You want to make sure that when people walk in, there's this effect before you even serve food. Because think about it the other way around. Sometimes we go to places, hole in the wall, great food, and you're almost like, am I gonna die going in here? But then you might have an amazing experience. But that's a completely different selling point from these little hole in the wall shops. So of course I try to touch on everything. So light, sound, decor. I like to keep things very minimal. And you also kind of want to find like your niche in the market between all the other chefs that host supper clubs. You don't want to copy anyone. You want to be thoughtful of like, how do I stand out? How do I make my experience different? And it's also not really like you're in competition with these other chefs, because we're all complementing each other. If you have a great experience at my supper club, I really hope you have a great experience at the next supper club. So that kind of builds the community, word of mouth, kind of brings more people to open up to this idea and just go to these supper clubs. And of course, you have an experience, you're having a 6-course menu, you're having a welcome drink, you have a digestif at the end, you're meeting like-minded people. It's perfect to go on your own, if you just want to like get out and meet people, whether it's on a friendship level or something else. And you don't have to feel weird about it, because there's 8 other people that are in the exact same space as you are. So
Well,
especially here in Dubai, where people are coming from everywhere, I think this is a perfect experience.
there's no doubt the supper club, the atmosphere that you create is very, very special for not only singles in the city, but I think, majority of our listeners are business professionals, people that are business owners, entrepreneurs, and even sales experts, or, industry people that are there connecting with other people on a regular basis. And I think like doing something unconventional, going to a restaurant that they've never been to, or a supper club like what you're doing, is something that both parties can really experience in its infancy and like kind of like the first stage. So you can experience this together, and there is a special connection and bond that's formed when people experience something new together, right? So in particular, when it comes to those like meaningful connections with other diners, what kind of strategies or techniques have you found that have been the most, effective in creating these kind of bonds or these lasting impressions?
The first thing that they all have in common is that they're there for the main reason, which is to eat a 6-course menu. So already here, kind of like, the ice is broken. They're all there for the same thing. I mean, people say I'm funny, so I try to bring a little bit of that to the table of like, if somebody is shy, I want to make them feel comfortable. I warm people up. I pick up on conversations, or try in the background to go like, oh, okay, this is great. Throw something in there. So that's also a bit of a conversation starter. But usually, yeah, the guests, they do pretty good on their own, because as you just said, they're business professionals, etc. They're already open to meeting other people and having different experiences. It's very rare that somebody would sign up for the supper club and actually comes, sort of shy or something, because everyone is really hopeful to kind of like meet other people. Like my dentist, he's like, I want to come to your supper club, and I want to come alone because I don't want to come with my friends anymore. I want to meet new people. So yes, like my clientele is, I would say, business professionals, and they just want to, go out from their normal out from their usual outings with their usual friends, where exactly what conversations you're having. You're going out with that same couple, you're going out, it's just and I've seen really nice connections formed. Like I've seen people exchange CVs with each other, or like, oh, I know this guy, I'll hook you up. Oh, or like even, especially in the Arab space, we all know each other. They're like, you are the brother or the sister of, I know. And yeah, it's just really nice to see. You haven't done much. All I'm supplying is probably really good food, an ambiance, a space for people to get together, and then you watch these people form these relationships, and you're kind of like the conductor to all of this. So it's a nice feeling once you see these relationships form.
Awesome. I bet it's really rewarding. And I think that's probably why you're so good at what you do, because you do it authentically. This is your happy space. And then you bring these people together and they're having these great, fruitful experiences and relationships that were formed. And that's the point of the show. Smart Impressions was all about people creating these connections, and different unusual experiences. And I can't stress enough how important it is for people to do it over food. Because you have those moments that will resonate for such a long, long lifetime. So we're coming down to our last few minutes here, and I really want to get your expert advice into 3 key strategies, things, practices that maybe businesses and people that are engaging in these kind of dining experiences can consider and really make sure they prioritize so that they can make the most out of any dining experience, or how a business incorporates their connectivity with their clients as such a, experience. What do you got?
Well, I think for any sort of business to work or relationship, we need to be our true self. So the 3 points that I would give you is, being authentic. Storytelling is very important. People would like to know what is the story behind the dish, right? And it's more than just a ragu. It's more than just a Levantine ravioli. The story to it, when you put that bite in your mouth, makes them kind of like get into that story of the one that you're trying to tell, whether it's like my great grandmother did this amazing thing. We were in her kitchen and it was the highlight of her day. And when they take a bite of that, they're kind of feeling that highlight of the day that my grandmother tried to pass on to us. And then I think personalization is very important. It doesn't take much in all sorts of businesses, have to have a happy customer. If somebody says, I can't handle spice, or I'm vegetarian, or can you maybe twist something here and there? If it doesn't break your arm, if you're not going too much out of your way, these little touches go a long way. Or when there's someone's birthday, I try to write happy birthday on the plate, or put a candle, or just something like that. These little small things go a very far away. Remembering people's names, that's very hard for me, because you can imagine how many people will come in and out. But like, I try to remember everyone's name, because again, they are in your house, right? So you want to make them just as comfortable.
I love that. And I thank you so much for those 3 tips. I think they're crucial. I think everybody in sales should work in the food business. Personally, that's my own preference, because I think there's no other industry that has firsthand customer connectivity where you are thinking authentically about what that other person needs, whether it be a drink, whether it be extra spicy sauce, whether it be salt and pepper, whatever it is. Like, it's about that constant being able to provide for that hunger. And do it, on a continuous basis, and really do it creatively. So I love that you're making it personal. Do you personalize for businesses in any way, where you can put a logo or the name of the company, or incorporate that into the dining experiences?
Yeah, of course. So every time I have private dinners, I write the name of the group. Sometimes, let's say you're coming, Rachel, I would be like, the pasta dining experiences, Rachel's birthday. If I'm going to your house, I change the menu. I call it Chez Rachel, play a little bit on French. For businesses, of course, I get some team bonding groups. And then I I mean, usually if it's a private group of just friends, I don't have to do so much to break the ice, but it's a little bit different when you have like, you know, somebody very senior and a junior together. So I try to like put them into groups, let them handpick their names, you know. Yeah, so these are kind of the things that you can do. And they're happy about that. Instead of you asking them, choose your partner, I kind of choose it for them, you know, so.
Amazing. Well, I love you. This creative space is by far your domain, and you're doing it so wonderfully. And that's why I love to rave about people. I love what they're doing. Chef Joe, you can find her on the Instagram. I know everyone's on the gram. Make sure you're pronouncing it or writing it the proper way to find out these custom dining experiences that you can create for you to create that human connection through food, through not only our taste buds, but also through the entire 5 senses of an experience that she's customizing for businesses and brands for them to connect more. So thank you so much. Well done for what you're doing. Congratulations. I wish you all the success in the world. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Enjoy the rest of your day. I'm going to finish my coffee and I'll see you next week, next Tuesday for another great discussion. Have a great day.